question for you.
Yeah.
Boxers or briefs?
I was going to ask you something about that.
Today on Autoimmune Table Talk, I have a special guest that I'll introduce in a couple minutes, okay? But before that, today, we're actually going into all about sex, hormones, and autoimmune, true or false, with my friend, Dude.
My name's Joseph, aka Dude. Like she said, known her for a while. She's kind of my go-to when it comes to, sex questions, anything regarding health. She just is more open than most doctors that I know. So it's a real pleasure to be here. I work in the industry. Dr. Yu is top notch, somebody I respect a lot, and I'm ready to dig deep. It's going to get embarrassing for me and probably not so much for her, but we're going to get into it. Question about testosterone.
Okay.
Testosterone is the most important hormone in female libido. True or false?
Of course, a guy is going to ask me this question. Because, guys and a lot of people think it's a very male-centric way of thinking about hormones and sex, that we think that testosterone is the be-all, end-all for men and women.
I do think that, yes.
Well, it's not true. It's false. Testosterone is not the most important hormone in actually female libido. The answer is different for men. But for women, interestingly, testosterone has to do with more pelvic floor strength. So it's muscular strength. And it has to do with more the ability to get there. When women experience difficulty, let's say it takes longer to get there or it's weaker than it used to be, that could be a testosterone hormone related issue. But that really doesn't necessarily have anything to do with libido. So last week I did a whole talk about finding your libido. In fact, I did this thing. I was like, finding your libido. Where's your libido? And if you missed that, make sure you check it out. For women, if you were talking hormonal issues, I think the balance between estrogen and progesterone, that balance has more to do with it. Because when those hormones are off, it impacts upon like weight, anxiety, sleep, depression, fatigue. Those issues are way bigger for female libido than testosterone actually is. Whereas in women, I think it's more related with the sexual function, but the desire to have sex really in women has nothing to do with testosterone. I see women with high testosterone with horrible libidos, and I see women with low testosterone with wonderful libidos. So I think that's a big myth. So it's false, absolutely false, that testosterone is the major driver of libido in women.
Okay, well, I was way off. I was way off there. Testosterone is the most important hormone of male libido. True or false?
True.
Okay.
True. And interestingly, men actually have 10 times more testosterone than women. So the level of testosterone in men is 10 times more, you poor thing. But I actually have found that there is a direct correlation in sex drive in men and testosterone. But here's the thing. I actually think that the focus on testosterone in men is all wrong, because we think for men, it's all about libido and sexual dysfunction. So the only times I see guys being tested for testosterone is when they have ED, erectile dysfunction. By that point, it's really late in the game of declining testosterone.
Right.
So I really think that we're missing the ball on testing for men and testosterone, because what are some of the early signs in men? Weight gain, anxiety, ADD symptoms, fatigue, difficulty with getting results from exercise. And how many men out there are already experiencing that? And the problem is you go in and then you ask the doctor to test your testosterone or thyroid or adrenals, and they look at you like, what, you want to bodybuild and you want to abuse testosterone?
So true or false? All lube is great for those with autoimmune disease.
Well, that question obviously isn't for you, because you probably don't ever think you need to use lube.
Guilty. I'm young.
You're like, me, no. My fiance, my ladies don't need no lube. I'm going to tell you.
Oh, no, it's so true.
Lube is not only important, it's necessary. And especially with autoimmune, believe it or not, there's actually 10,000 additional reasons why lube is really important. Because dryness is actually, there's so many mechanisms for dryness. It's not just hormonal differences, hormonal changes that causes vaginal dryness and pain. The other thing is that there's actually autoimmune mechanisms attacking some of the cells that create moisture, that makes the mucus or the moisture in the mucosal membrane. So it's not just dry vaginal area. You can have dry eyes, dry throat, decreased saliva production, swallowing problems. There's a lot of dryness factors that are involved that are autoimmune related. Hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Boxers or briefs?
I was going to ask you something about that. I personally made a switch to briefs about 2 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
You like the brief thing?
I like holding them tight, I'll say.
So here's something interesting about that.
Yeah.
Do you know that increasing the temperature, so the distance of the testicle to your groin, actually, if it's too close, you raise the temperature of your testicles and you actually decrease fertility. This is why excessive hot tubbing and bicycle riding actually decreases sperm count in men.
Wow.
So,
wow. Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you're looking for some natural birth control with your briefs or not.
I'm busted.
So I'm boxers. I'm boxers because I think there's actually the allowing it to actually hang more naturally actually increases sperm count, and I feel like it is actually better for hormonal production.
Somebody needs to make some medical grade boxers out there.
I think Transform is going to come out with some male boxers.
I love it.
With my
pre-ordering.
Okay, thanks. Red Dragon Videos on YouTube says, "You go, girl. Dr. Ruth is 93." You're referring to Dr. Ruth.
Exactly. That's yes.
Dr. Ruth was responsible for my sexual awakening at 13, 14, listening to her in KFI radio in LA. That's where I actually learned sexual education in the beginning. Because in an Asian household, we don't talk about sex. So I was like having to listen to it KFI Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. at night to learn about sex. So I thank Dr. Ruth for blazing the trail and actually open conversations about sexuality.
That's so interesting. I'm glad somebody put that there because that's who I was referring to. And it's unbelievable. And that's why I think this is so important. And you have the personality, the platform. I mean, talking about sex. And that's why I urged you. July is sex month. Okay. And thank God. All right. Lights on or lights off?
Lights. What do you think?
You're a lights on kind of gal.
Absolutely 100% lights on.
Yes, she is.
It's really important. And I think that it's I think we have to understand the different kinds of the input that for sexuality is really important. And I don't think it's just men that are visual. Women are extremely visual as well. And there's something also about, I think, focus. Well, I think there's room for both, right? There's in the dark, but lights on. My preference is lights on because I like the idea that there's different kinds of input. So, and you may find that you prefer visual input. Some people like audio input, certain types of music, right? And that also, like, you think about touch and sensory as well. But me personally, I think that having the lights on, I think it's a great connection point. I think eye contact is really important in sexuality, and I think it's important. So that's why I think mostly eye contact, but visual. Most men prefer visual. Some women shy away from it because of self-image issues involved. Right. And I can understand for women who are having a lot of struggling with weight or sexual identity issues that they may want lights off. So I get that. There's room for both, but my own personal preference is definitely lights on. I
like that. And that's something I was going to bring up. I think like the whole mental aspect of like, if I was going to somebody, years ago before my fiance, if I was going to have sex with a woman and I said lights off, it immediately I think about how does that make her feel? Does she think I do not want to look at her? Does she think,
that's interesting. I never thought of that.
And so I just, I feel like it's, important to have some lights on for both people. It's like, I want her to, want to see me and I want, her to know that I want to see her. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. But that being said, it's interesting because when people are dealing with autoimmune issues, I can say that weight is frequently a big issue, whether it's overweight or underweight. And then when people are struggling with hormonal issues, there's the overweight or underweight issue as well. And that affects self-image. So that's why for me, I think it's a wash. I'm talking about my personal preference, but I think there's room for both for sure.
Right. The other question I have for you, what song puts you in the mood? What's your go-to? This might be a generational type of thing as well, but I'm very curious.
I love Marvin Gaye.
There you go.
I just think Marvin Gaye is amazing. And then, a lot of people are like Luther Vandross. I'm a Marvin Gaye fan, so Marvin Gaye. But the funny thing is also like the song Let's Marvin Gaye and Get It On, which is not a Marvin Gaye song.
Oh, it's not?
It's one of my favorites at the moment.
That's where my mind went to. I was like, that's what she's listening to.
But I think music is really important. I love music. I mean, can you guys recall a song with your first kiss? Your first makeout session, the first time you had sex. So I think it's important to actually think about, like, for people who are very responsive to music and memory is really tied, and music and emotions are really tied. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really great to actually set the atmosphere right, to pick some music that you really enjoy and play it not too loud, but in the background, I think it's really important. That really triggers a lot of emotional connection, and it really activates the amygdala and the memory area of your brain as well. So I think that's win-win. What about you, music-wise?
Oh man. Well, originally I was going to say maybe some Usher, but I would also say, and this is embarrassing, but maybe a little Justin Bieber.
Really?
As long as, my fiance isn't thinking about him rather than me. Yes, some Justin Bieber.
I didn't have you down as a Bieber.
I'm a believer.
You're a believer.
I'm a believer, believe it or not. Once your libido is gone, it's gone. True.
Bullshit. Utter bullshit. I completely disagree with that. And the reason is that my own experience, right? As soon as I was able to actually employ the principles of the Transform program, right? My periods actually came back within 18 months and came back balancing those hormones really caused my libido, sexual health to come back. It does not have to impact negatively upon your libido or your sexual response. You absolutely can have hormone balance at any age, number one. And the other factors that impact upon libido, like pain, like sleep, and gut issues, food issues, those are completely solvable problems. So I don't see anything with libido as being permanent.
So what was like your most important thing that you were doing in order to, help that?
Getting proper sleep.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that the anxiety of insomnia for like 2 years around that time, the anxiety of just not being able to fall asleep and staying awake all night was the most isolating, alienating, depressing thing on the planet.
Sexual positions is all about kink. True or false? I know you're an expert on this. When I was walking in here, trust me guys, I walked past her room where she had some chains or whips, something like that.
Okay, wait. This is the blue room. Let's not talk about the red room. Woo, okay, woo, all right.
Sorry, I had to do it to you.
I think that the conversation around sexual positions, people think is all about kink. And so people think it's kinky to talk about sexual positions, and I think that's bull. I think that especially for people dealing with chronic pain, a lot of nerve issues, pain issues involved, I think that sexual positions is a must-have conversation around their health and around sexuality. And I really am a big proponent of, because of pain issues, a lot of people just avoid sex. And that's why that proper lubrication is really important. But I also really a big believer in sexual furniture or props to help with positioning. So there's a company called Liberator, and there's various pillows and in different positions that really helps position you correctly so that sex is comfortable. And I think the people don't realize how much more the right position or the right tools to prop you in the right position can actually help with decreasing and making sex more comfortable. If you're in pain, you're not going to want to have sex, and sex is going to be terrible. So I think that's important to think about. Is there sexual furniture? Is there propping tools and pillows that could actually create better positioning for sex? And experimenting with different positions, depending on which part of your body is hurting, is a really important part of sexuality. Yet people don't talk about it. It's almost like, oh, my knees hurt, I can't have sex. Bullshit. You have to try different positions. And there's literally hundreds of different positions that you could try that could actually make sex more enjoyable and fun, even when you have pain in your knees, for example.
Is it just kind of trial and error?
Yeah.
You know how this whole thing started with Dr. Yu. I asked her, I said, Dr. Yu, why is it that you know so much about sex on top of, everything about autoimmunity? And what was your answer?
I've had a lot of it.
Right. So I have a lot of sex. Okay.
I've had a lot of it, yes. But really, the real reason is that, believe it or not, I first came into functional medicine through hormonal health. So my early menopause at the age of 36, quote unquote, early menopause, was really actually an autoimmune issue. I turned around in about 18 months. I was not in menopause,
wow.
But yeah, I had what they call...
At 36?
Yeah, they called it premature ovarian failure. They told me I had early menopause at 36. And it was not the case. It was actually an autoimmune disorder, Hashimoto's, that was also attacking my ovaries. And so once I calmed the autoimmunity down, guess what? My periods came back. My whole sexual health and life came back for the next 10 years. And I didn't really hit menopause till 46. And that was rather gracefully. Thank you very much the second time. And if you think that anyone else can learn more about their sexual health and autoimmunity, go ahead and tag their name in the comment section right now. They may not hear it from you, but they may hear it from Dude, or they might hear it from me. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, make sure you click the link above or below this video and join our Facebook group, which is called Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. Or you can check out the website, drmaggie.com.